here's a quick overview of the basic causal interface. So this is what it looks like. On the left-hand side, you have the spreadsheet, which is where you actually build the model. So this is where you'll be entering the numbers and formulas and so on. And on the right-hand side, we have a column for the visuals, so charts and tables, and we can show and hide them using this button over here. The columns in the spreadsheet are generated depending on the time settings of your model. And the time settings are defined here on the top left. So we can click here. You can set the granularity, so whether it's a monthly model or a yearly model or even weekly or daily. And then you can set a start date and an end date, and that is what generates these month columns. The first column is called the value column. If a variable doesn't change over time, then we'll just display its value once in the value column. So initial customers, it's just 100, and we'll display it once here. It just saves you from the visual clutter of having to see 100, 100, 100 in every single month. If a variable does change over time, then in the value column we'll display a sparkline, so a mini chart showing the general trend of the variable, and in the month columns we'll display the actual values. And so that's how the columns work. The first column is just shows the name of the variable. It has an icon which tells you what type of variable it is, and then you have some actions that you can take. You can apply a category. We have a video on categories. If you don't know what that is, you can connect a variable to data. We also have a video about that. And then you can set the format of the variable, so whether it's a number, whether it's a currency, and some details around that. The model is broken up into different sections. So we have this input section, we have this calculation section, and output section in this model. These sections are fully customizable. So every model by default will have these three sections. If we wanted, we could rename one of these sections to, I don't know, number crunching. If we wanted, we could create a new section by hovering over an existing section and clicking the add section above button. And maybe this would be like our expenses section. Maybe we'll drag one of our variables into this section. So sections just kind of allow you to arrange your model in a way that makes sense to you. There's nothing particularly special about these sections. The input section is special. If you watch our video about Causal's presentation mode, anything you put in the input section will appear in the presentation dashboard in Causal. So if I quickly show you, anything in the input section will show up here. And so this is the only special section. All of the other sections are completely arbitrary, and they're just there for you to arrange your model however you want. We have a toolbar here with a bunch of buttons. You can create new charts from here. You can link models together here, and we have videos about all of these concepts separately. You can create scenarios, and then you can comment on things. To comment on something, just right-click and click on Add Comment, and we can add comment saying, shouldn't this be higher? And so now we'll see the comment, and in the comment section we'll see a list of all the comments in the model. We have version control. Again, look at our documentation for details about that. The workspace pop-up, which lets us choose which canvas mode we're in. Probably the common ones you'll be using are spreadsheet when actually building the model, and the visuals canvas mode when tweaking charts and things like that. So in here we can, for example, resize all of this, and we can change some chart settings. Again, we have separate videos about this. And then we also have a special cards view, where if your model is quite simple, sometimes this is a nicer way to sort of view your model and actually build models in Causal. But for the most part, you'll be using the spreadsheet. And we have a sort of settings here for various bits and bobs, which are worth exploring. You can control some aspects of how the presentation mode works. You can set a few configuration options. These are really advanced settings, and you mostly won't have to deal with them. If you want to export your model, you can do it via the export section. So you can export just the numbers, which is this first option, or you can export the whole model with all the formulas intact, which is a little bit experimental right now, but mostly works. And that's this second option. If you want, you can actually sync the entire model to a Google Sheet, and the Google Sheet will always stay up to date as your Causal model updates as well. So that's another option that you have. This help button is really important. Anytime you get stuck, I'd recommend clicking on the help button. We have a few nice little explainer tips and GIFs in these different tabs for different concepts. We have a bunch of shortcuts, and then we have our documentation section. And so if you have any questions, do check out the documentation. We also have a live chat where you can ping us anytime, and we're generally pretty responsive. And so you can use the live chat for that, and it'll pop up. I think that's basically it. Down here at the bottom of the screen, actually, we have what we call the data tables section. This is where categories will show up. Again, watch the videos that we have about categories if you're not familiar with categories. So any categories will show up here. And if you have a data source that's connected to your model, this will show up here as well. We have a video about data sources if you're not sure how those work. But these are kind of the core bits of interface in Causal. You can right click on things and there's a bunch of different options. You can single click to change the value of a single month. For example, if we single click on April 2021 and change this to 5,000, it will just change it for this 1 month. And if we undo that, and if we double click on here, it'll let us change the formula for the whole period. So most of the time you'll be double clicking to change whole periods. Sometimes if you want to hard code something, or if you want to have different formulas for different periods of time, then you'll be single clicking. So that is how to click around Causal. Enjoy.